Yeah, about 6.
Awesome. We're going to be starting here in just a second.
We've got a couple people that are on multiple locations, which is nice. And then they're going out working with customers. They'll have 2 computers set up, it seems, sometimes. So
Wow.
just when they transfer, they can.
So whenever y'all go training, are you going to be doing this?
Yes, every time we do training. So if you have any spare time
Yeah, definitely.
for the Logan trainings, you can hop on.
Because I'm sure you pick up, even though you've been to this, I bet you pick up some new stuff over time. The content always changes.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. But we have questions that I've never before covered. We said in our first training, we didn't even cover a quarter of that. It's not even at all. So I learned something new every training. And the repetition is very helpful for the things that we do go over.
And then you YouTube it? I mean, once you...
So we're technically recording it right now.
Right.
So what ends up happening is we record it, and right now we just have the raw files. And so then I have another brother of mine who actually does some video editing. And so we're feeding him these files, and he's kind of slowly crunching through them. So we're going to end up YouTubing it. If you guys wanted an exact copy of what we had, if you email me directly, I will send you a CD of, like a DVD of our training things. It's going to be raw footage, like unclipped, anything.
Uncensored.
Uncensored, yep. It's going to have...
So my mood comment will be in
Your mood comment will be in there, Dan.
Actually, I didn't say anything. I just laughed.
Okay, correct. But it immediately triggered something in my mind, and I thought it was funny. So.
On the footage that you do get for GoToMeeting, though, it is just the screen capture. So
Correct.
it's what you see on the projector plus the audio, which is
Correct.
really
So,
the most helpful. anyway.
that's pretty easy. We could basically just drag it and drop it onto a DVD and burn it for you. But if you want that, just email me directly, and we'll get you hooked up there.
GIFTS.
And then as we get going further, we will actually be putting it up on the YouTube. Like, YouTube's going to hate us because we're going to put up tons and tons. There's probably over 100 some odd YouTube videos right now that are up there, and we're going to keep putting more and more and more and more and more, because this is kind of random, but it might introduce us into where we're going. One of our strategies for marketing is actually sharing what we've been doing, kind of exploring down in these tunnels and stuff. And so the more we can share, we're actually going to find safety in sharing. So instead of it being like this top secret project that nobody else knows about, if I share it, virtually what happens is somebody else is like, oh, I can take these ideas. Oh man, it's already out. Like, it kind of takes the wind out of their sails a little bit. So we're actually going to seek safety through sharing. Okay? And so that's kind of one of our strategies that we're going to be using. So
Very smart.
anyway, it makes me feel better too, because then I feel like I'm trying to help rather than like I just wanted to say that.
And there are rewards.
Oh, it's
But
awesome.
you can't put dollar. I mean, you get dollar figure back in rewards, but there's also rewards that you get that you can't put a value on.
Correct.
I
Correct.
appreciate that.
Correct. So
I honor that.
hold us to it, okay? Because it's not just me; it's the Adilas team, and we are working as a team. But hold us to it. You said you guys were going to share, and we're going to keep going and going and sharing and sharing. So that's what we want to do. Okay. Before we get started, we had a question. Joe, do you want to kind of reiterate your question, and then I'll.
I'm sure we're going to get this from anybody we approach who maybe doesn't understand the cloud. We have to explain that to them first, how everything is web-based and web-hosted, and you have to be on the internet. But how is it secured?
Okay, great.
How can they be comfortable that they're not going to get hacked and that personal information is not going to get out there and their money and their figures are not going to be exposed or, worse yet, infiltrated?
Sure. Okay, great. So one of the things that I would say is we've already answered a bunch of those questions in some of the help documentation, and then I'm going to even show you how it actually works so that we can kind of play the game so they can understand what's happening. Straight up, the cloud, the way it works is you have a client and it talks to a server, okay? So there's a little bit of a reaction. What I'm actually going to do, I'm anywhere you're at, it doesn't even matter which corporation, we're going to go help, and then we're going to say start going to the user guide, the Adilas steps to success. Okay, and then I'm going to actually just jump right into the first one, understanding the basics. Okay, this is actually how we play it. Okay, so anything that's on my computer stays on my computer unless I actually submit something to the server. kind of talking this little diagram right here, going back and forth to the server, okay? The server has no direct connection to me. It's me that connects to the server. The server sits out there, and this is how the cloud works, okay? It just sits out there, and it's ready to take all sorts of information. So the other day, when I said, ready, let's all add an element of time, and we popped it in there, and all of a sudden it got like 7 or so different elements of time. Well, what happened was that technically it's sitting out there, and 7 of us from different computers were talking to it. So it's just, that's its only job, send and receive, send and receive, send and receive, okay? So what we do is we kind of start taking data, and we take it, and we, as it starts coming down, we pass it through things. Now this is part of the security, okay? But see how we drew these little lines called checkpoints? Okay, what we do is we save permissions. And so you guys have noticed when we go back to user permissions, we're like, okay, turn on the searchability, turn on the this, and turn on the admin level. Well, guess what we're doing? Okay, we're creating levels of security, and especially when we start getting into deposits and expenses and balance sheet items where your financials are, we add more and more and more securities, okay? So somebody has to have those permissions in order to get there. The other thing that we do that is very important is you guys have seen histories inside of Adilas. We virtually have miniature video cameras on the wall, so anytime, if I'm looking, guess what? It's like, he's just looking, don't worry. Like, but if you actually do something, got it, oh, got it. Like, it's kind of taking virtual pictures, and what we do is we record it in the database in English so that you can literally go back and say, who did this, what happened, etc. Okay, so that's another piece of the security.
So you can't get away with hitting the edit button or input or enter without it being recorded.
It records every step, okay? And so what that is it's all behind the scenes. And so once again, similar to like the satellite version, where it's not inflicting any inhibiting to any of the flow of data, but anytime you do something, oh, just turn right, oh, just like we're tracking all of these different little pieces. And it might sound like almost sci-fi, but what we do is we just kind of sit back there in the back and it just keeps monitoring some of those pieces. Okay, I'm just kind of scrolling down, but we use one-to-many relationships in databases. Let me go to the bottom of this. I wanted to show you the next little section that kind of talks about logins and passwords and permissions. This particular help file talks a lot about security and some of the different pieces that are going on and how things happen and whatnot. This right here, if you literally come right here, main website features, and you come down and you read some of this, it'll actually start talking about some of the security pieces that we do. It comes all the way down to say, okay, how do we do this between this and this and this and this and this? I'm kind of just looking really quick. So for instance, this actually needs to be updated. We actually use ColdFusion 10 now, but it talks about which servers we use, which database services we use, how do we do it through secure socket layers. Here's the thing called server-side validation, okay? So there's a difference between what's called client-side validation and server-side validation. And what is validation? Let's define that first really quick. So what do you think? What's validation?
It's saying the information that you're giving it is okay.
Okay,
Right.
good. So it's kind of checking, is that what I was looking for? Okay, or is it over or under a certain amount? Or is it numeric, where I was looking for a date? Like, it'll prompt you for all of those things. That's called validation. Well, some of the ways people hack things is if you have just client-side validation, meaning it's only validating here, and then I can send anything. They can do what's called circumvent that. So they can basically go, aha, I'm just going to go past your wall and I'll submit it and it'll still hit and potentially cause some danger. So what we do is we play on both sides. We play on client side and server side. So anything that hits the server before it even touches the database, yep, good, yep, oh, denied. You're like, we're checking on both areas to kind of allow that. That's called server-side validation. I haven't read this here lately, but this is a little quote that I would like to say, okay? Adilas, almost 75% of the entire application is error handling, okay? All the cool things that it does and all this kind of stuff, guess what we do? We spend tons of time on the front end. Is this good? Is this? Did it pass? Am I dividing by 0? Like, we're checking. I'd say close to 50 to 75% is error handling, okay? As we come down a little bit here, this talks about 3 strikes you're out policy for logins. Okay? What that means, and this is the most common tech support question we have, is you have a username and a password. Okay? Kind of has to filter down to those two levels as far as keys and access in. But guess what? Even if somebody got somebody's username and password, if they do anything, every single time we're going to stamp it. Every single time we're going to monitor it. And if somebody's like, oh my goodness, I better change my password, they change their password, they do this, or we can even like remove permissions, and it instantly removes that ability to like go into the next room and door. So like you can control the keys very, very well. Okay? So another thing, this is kind of very, very technical. It's called cross-site scripting. Okay? Basically what this is a hacker will sometimes use a way to kind of get into a system. What we do is we try to prevent that as much as we can. And what I'll do is I'll actually show you how this kind of works. Okay? So say for instance right here, I'm just going to go home. I'm just going to go to any page. Say here's my quick search. Say my customer. Normally we've been doing like this, SHUFORD, whatever we were going to do for Danny, right? But what if I actually started trying to trick this thing and I started entering functions and I started doing all kinds of like crazy stuff like this, and I'm like, oh, let's see what this does. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't even allow back-to-back parentheses. Like it's going to come back and say, whoa, 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 that's a potential danger. What about something like this? Just
that's the hacker language.
Yeah.
The code guy trying
loop
to
over 1, 2, asterisk dot, asterisk, whatever. You know, like I'm just kind of faking it, but like pretend like you were trying to act. Whoa, 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 whoa. We don't allow asterisk dot asterisk. If you want to do that, you have to figure a different way to play, because I'm not going to allow that. Say you wanted to have somebody in there like, just for instance, I'm just trying to show you. Say they start trying to actually add HTML code in here. Table, whatever they're doing. Whoa, 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 careful. You know, I'm not even going to allow that. Like it's set up to search it. So every single place that it tries to do the entrance, we try to block those cross-site scripting because it exists. We live in a digital world, and I guarantee you, I'll make this claim right now. If you had a master hacker, they would probably say, "Thanks, Adilas, that was a snack, but I still got in." Okay. If you had a master hacker, I don't know if anything is really safe. We use a thing called secure socket layers. So this is way up here. You see this little S right here? Just that little guy right up there in that top thing. What it does is it provides the lock icon. Okay? So a secure socket layer is technically what we call encrypted data. So basically what it does is it runs it through a scrambler. So we have the word Joe. It runs it through a scrambler, and on the receiving side you have an unscrambler so that you can figure out that that really was Joe. So going across the line, this is the same kind of things that banks use for their security. It's called secure socket layer, and it's different levels of encryption. Okay. So anyway, we were back at that help file, but I would recommend that you read that little help file, and it'll kind of give you a little bit of information about some of the security features.
Because that's
we take it seriously.
Question, then you can say, I can answer that, or I can refer you to this help file, and it'll
Correct.
explain it in depth, but I can explain it to you in brief.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to do one more thing just to give you a little bit of security information, okay? If you majorly want to say, whoa, where do you guys host these servers at? Where's the data at? How secure is that? Okay, that's like the next level up. We're going to go to this, okay? I can't remember the exact website, but I will pull it up and I'll let you know. There's a company called NewTek. We have a number of servers through them. And then we kind of go from there. So we basically buy boxes from this particular company, and then we harness them and kind of put them into our own little clusters, so they're virtual full machines as far as what's going on. I'm going to just kind of come down towards the bottom, and I believe that we say our infrastructure. I'll get you an exact URL that you can actually look at here, okay? But this basically what this does is this is a hosted solution, so the way Adilas can fly at lightning speeds is because we say we are going to hire a commercial hosting company. Their whole job is security and data and bio-entrances and hot and cold rows for their servers and racks and all this kind of stuff. So what we do is we're like, oh, we want to buy a rack. Okay? So we buy a rack in this data center, and then basically what we do is then we traffic all the information over to that area. That's kind of how it's called a hosted solution. If Adilas had to do this by themselves, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year we would have to pay for secure area, surveillance,
Air conditioning,
yeah.
perfect. And all.
Humidity, you name it, Okay, so this is the name of the website. It's called, I'll just kind of go like this. If you wanted to, we can actually put a link on that help file. And let me just write a little note about that real quick, just so I remember it. Okay, I'll actually create this little link, but basically if you scroll down here, sorry, my bad. If you scroll down here, they are located in Arizona, so basically away from a number of the primary major disaster zones, okay? Like they have a number of different things. They talk about humidifiers, AC, cooling, data center features. They're certified to certain levels.
So they're handling other massive businesses and massive websites.
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
storage and everything.
Anyway, you can do a bunch of things. They even have, I can't remember where the link is, but usually they have like a little thing in here you can kind of tour their data center or whatever. And like it shows some of the bio entrances and like they literally have a man, like a man trap is what they call it. So in order to get into the data center, you have to go in through this man trap and it's set for checks, weight. Like you can't even do what's called piggybacking, which means like the person who really is real goes in, but there's somebody riding on the back. Because there's a weight difference, it freaks out, locks down. Like I don't want to pay for that kind of money. So I'm going to say we're going to hire some additional places. This is one of the ones that we use. This is not the only one that we will use, okay? But I wanted to kind of just show you what we do for our research on our site.
So if somebody wants to know about, that was my mother-in-law's question, well, how is this backed up? It's like, well,
Okay, perfect.
it's backed up.
Yeah, yep. So what we do is we basically pay for part of our plan through the hosted solution. We say, we want this box, this box, this box, whatever boxes we want. We want you to install the updates. We want you to do this. If I have a question, I want to be able to have access. I want to be able to have remote access if I need to. I need backups. I need virus protection. We do all of this kind of stuff. And then basically what we do is we say, great, why don't you pay $100 a month? We'll take care of all of your stuff. Like, we do really spend a ton of time trying to secure it and make sure everything is secure as possible. So I don't know if that answered your question, but like that kind of leads you in a direction.
I think too, so over the course of what, almost 10 years?
We've been
8
tracking
years?
data since 2001.
Yeah.
Okay.
How often, have you, number one, have you ever run into a security problem? And then number two, how often have you been down? Because I know it hadn't been very much.
Our downtime is very, very minimum, okay? And like we try hard to do that. Where we're headed with is even more of clustered type environments. So right now, people are using different things, and we've got universes. Imagine if you could set up multiple universes, and then you can basically, whatever we've built, we can multiply it. Like we're not at any sort of dead-end roads. So what that's going to do is it's actually going to spread things out so that even if somebody did hack into it, oh wow, they got 5 corporations. I mean, I'm not saying oh wow, but it's like, okay, everybody else is safe, they're good, or whatever. Like we're going to kind of spread some of those little eggs around so that it's not all in one basket. Here's one of the worst things that ever happened, and this is kind of a funny story. We went from a shared environment, which basically means this was just a growing pain type thing, but we were using a shared environment, and because we weren't that big, so there was other companies that were on the same server as us. Finally, we're like, okay, you know what? We want to migrate and move. And so we're like, okay, you know what? We're going to order this new dedicated box, and we're going to move everything to that. And I sent in the idea, and they're like, okay, great, we'll get started. And they shut off our site. Like, ah! This was, I was like, oh no. Like, at this point, we probably only had maybe 25 companies doing it, but like, it got shut down for a whole day and a half. Like, that's the biggest time we've ever had it down. But it's like, I called them, they're like, I'm sorry, we already, oh my goodness. So we had to sit. But the other times that I have seen down, I have seen as long as, say, like an hour. But usually if it does go down, it's back up within 10 minutes or less. Okay. So that's just servers. Sometimes what the servers do, they have a fail-safe on them as well. So if it gets an outside attack, like, and it's getting attacked like this, instead of just saying, okay, cool, I'll just keep taking it, virtually what some of the machines are set to do is like, okay,
Turtle.
Yep. They'll turtle down, and then what it does is it sends off an alarm at the data center. Like, oh my goodness, we got something going on with this server. So they go in and check, and they can see all this inbound traffic or whatever. They're like, okay, let's just restart it, or we'll block just that IP address that's sending that traffic, whatever they need to do. But we don't monitor that. We actually put that on the hosted part of it. So that's how we can pay $100 and get this kind of service versus like millions of dollars. If you were to pay for this entire application, like you say somebody wanted to be like, oh my goodness, I want to create an Adilas right this minute, I would give them a quote like this. Probably $4 million, a team of 10, and it's going to take you at least a year, if not more. Okay, if you already understand what everything does. So what we do is we let you guys ride on top of this for a small service fee. It's called software as a service. It's kind of a new little buzzword. SaaS, S-A-A-S, software as a service. So that's kind of how it works. But does that kind of answer some information about security?